Hi, good morning, friends. Welcome back to Akshayadari. I'm Devraj. Today it's 22nd August 2023. Almost we are in the end of the month. So only 8 days to go. And I hope you guys are learning great and earning great. And I hope you guys following the tips which I have given in the previous videos. So I would like to update the different videos other than English communication related to numerology and astrology. So before going to start today's session, I would request you guys to please subscribe the channel, like and comment, so that I can bring very informative videos related to healthcare, education and personal interviews. So let's start today's newspaper reading. Yes, guys, let's start reading today's newspaper. The Hindu. The BRS announces list of candidates for 115 seats. 189 tribal colonies lack access to internet. British nurse gets life for killing of 7 newborns. A test for India's multipolarity rhetoric. It faces a geopolitical predicament. Praxton's Caruana meets Carlson in final. No governor's assent. Manipur Assembly session a non-starter. Rajbhavan did not issue notification to convene the assembly on Monday, though the state cabinet had recommended holding a special session to governor. Ansuya Okay. Congress says constitutional machinery has broken down in state. SC panel seeks reconstruction of last documents. SC2 constitute a new bench to hear Kaveri water issue. Tamil Nadu said the release of water was a dire necessity to meet the demands of the standing crops. Panel to be set up within a week to frame SCP. Ahead of a big day, Chandrayaan 3 reveals the dark side of the moon. An image of the far side of the moon clicked on Saturday by Chandrayaan 3. The photo marks Hain, a lunar impact crater next to the northeast limb of the moon. From daily wager to medical student. 33-year-old Odisha tribal labor had done it all, even migrating to Kerala for work for 15 years before he cracked NEET. Krishna Chandra Thaka will join a Kalahandi Medical College in a week. CJ asks government for if it intends to dictate use of judicial review. Government run Victoria Hospital now as a clinic for acute and chronic pain. It will cater to patients suffering from pain related to cancer, joints, and spine, and will function from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in room 277 on the first second floor. Zambian national arrested at KIA, 1 kg of cocaine worth 15 crore recovered. This festive season, the banana is not so humble as prices skyrocket. BBMP removes banner near KPCC office imposes 50,000 fine. Transport and Postal Department tie up for swift delivery of DLS and RCs. Initiative will encompass 67 RTOs across the state, and the Department of Post will use speed post to deliver driving licenses and registration certificates. Fake letter official and his assistant arrested. And nice road is in practice and government should take over project TBJ. International probe into fire causes a resentment among BBMP ranks. Violation of approved plan actor asked to replay to department notice. Government will place facts of states water situation before affects court, says Sivakumar. We need 124 TMCFT of water to meet basic needs. While it currently has only 55 TMCFT in Kaveri Basin, around 24 TMCFT is needed for drinking purposes. So Bangalore City alone, Deputy CM. Committee will be set up within a week to frame state education policy, says CM. Proposed government medical college to be shifted to Kanakapura from Ramanagara. State had to get funds for Appo Bhadra project. HC upholds appointment of retired judges as inquiry officers by state RTCs. Speaker donates 20 cents of Naghana Katte land for to family. CM writes to Nirmala Sitharaman seeking release of funds recommended by 15th Finance Commission. Fact check unit to be set up to crack down on fake news. HC affords appointment of retired judges as inquiry officers by state RTCs. I do not buy the claims that Project Tiger has been a spectacular success in recent times. Official claims that tiger numbers are now maximal and no need to be capped should be rejected because expenditure on tiger conservation has gone up tenfold or more, says Karanth. The country and the way this conflict is viewed so differently in rural communities where people are differently affected and urban ones. Karnataka has risen to at least 435 tigers. You have discussed how our ambition for the tiger project is not enough and that we could accommodate a lot more tigers in India. Can you tell me a little about why you think so on the heels of the recent All India Tiger Estimation report that claimed the tiger count in Karnataka has risen to at least 435 tigers. Inspirational news as stories for growing children. The five books are made specifically for children over the age of 9. As the publishing house fees, there are very few books for the middle group. These books are not just stories but actual news stories that were updated on the Parry website. Starry site. What is the big deal about the Van Gogh 360 live experience? A first person account. Celebrating artists with artisan. Building blacks for creativity. Meet the author, more than an actor, dance romance. 189 tribal colonies in Kerala still lack internet access. BRS starts early announces 150 names for assembly force. Jan K.S. Timaya statue dislodged in Madikeri. Chandrayaan 3's lander establishes contact with Chandrayaan 3-2's orbiter. Important public notice revision in eligibility for admission to B.Arch course, architecture course. Tension after Gandhi statue vandalized at Valehonur. Let's read this editorial page. The BRICS test for India's multipolarity rhetoric. Once again, New Delhi is back in the thick of global geopolitics of things. chairing summits, navigating tricky Manichaean choices, ducking geopolitical whirlwinds and negotiating a place at the high table of global governance. The upcoming BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa summit in South Africa from August 22 to August 24 will be an important stress test for Indian polar diplomacy and a harbinger of the shape of geopolitics to come. For sure, the ability of BRICS to reorder or steer the global economy in any significant manner is deeply suspect. Its appetite to create economic agreements amongst its own members limited, and its historical capability to influence global geopolitics overestimated. And as a bloc, it is hardly an attractive investment destination. More so, BRICS today sounds more revisionist and reactive than proactive or clear headed on what it wants to do, and it could going forward become an entity capable of influencing the future of world politics. The geopolitical developments of the past years so, and the challenges faced by the United Nations system may have given another lease of life to BRICS. BRICS, after all, is also more globally represented than the UN Security Council and the G7, though less than the G20, which is dominated by the West. In that sense, the choices that BRICS makes at the summit and thereafter could have major implications for the international system. Many paths to global governance. That global governance has failed, that it reeks of deeply undemocratic practices needs no repetition. If the deeply unrepresentative character of global governance institutions and mechanisms has led to their failure, and there is little possibility of a more inclusive system anytime soon, forums such as BRICS will invariably fill such important institutional vacuum, no matter how inadequate. That 40 hard countries have formally or informally expressed interest in joining an expanded BRICS. Just 5 countries today, it is reflective of the deeply held sense of angst and anger in the global south countries about their place in the world. At a time of global geopolitical uncertainty, with the global harder going through a major churn, metal powers, regional heavyweights, and the outliers are that are weighing their options, exploring where they belong or trying to belong where they can. Would want to utilize forms such as BRICS to make sense of global geopolitical headwinds, hedge or place their bets, and influence the geopolitics around them. For instance, the uncertainties arising out of the Ukraine war and the steady rise of China have clearly provided a new lease of life to the otherwise moribund BRICS. Not that BRICS are the strongest corporation organization will lead to truly democratic global governance or multipolarity. Perhaps nothing can. These forms too are replete with competing interests and calculations, including inbuilt or unset hierarchies. And yet, these very forums could ignite a genuine conversation on making global governance more representative and inclusive. In global governance, more imperfect institutions reflecting the realities of today are better than one imperfect institutional structure that is alien is to the world of today. International politics should not be the place for hegemonic perfection, but of democratic imperfections. New Delhi's dilemmas for today, the geopolitical choices today are neither crystal clear nor easy to make. For one, where does India belong in the global geopolitical landscape? There is, for instance, a tendency in the West to view India's membership of BRICS and the SCO in the context of the Ukraine war and the United States are West versus the standoff with Russia. An oft repeated question is how can India be a part of the Quad? Australia, Japan, the US, India. G20, G7, and BRICS, SCO, and the Global South at the same time. That is a deeply historical view. India's active participation in non-Western multilateral forums such as BRICS, SCO, and the Global South must also be seen as India's response to the undemocratic and inequitable governance structures of post Second World War institutions such as the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the UNSC. At the same time, India's objective is not and should not be to create a belong to an anti-US or West bloc either. Developmentally, historically, and geopolitically, India belongs to BRICS, SEO, and the global south. But India does not only belong to them, more so in China's overwhelming presence in them makes it a less than perfect geopolitical choice of for India. Structurally and aspirationally, the G20, G7, Quad, and the like are where New Delhi is headed. But India's accommodation in the most affluential among those forums is a long shot. India, as a result, is located right in the middle of an emerging geopolitical fault line with interest on either side, welcomed by either side, but fully belonging to neither. This could either make India a bridge between the great divides or its lack of loyalty to neither could make it a victim of emerging geopolitical contestations. The sharper the plot line becomes, the harder it will be for the New Delhi for to balance it. One of the major dangers of the current churn in global geopolitics is the rise of competing blocs in the international system, with China and Russia aligning their global interests. The organizations they are part of, those membership they are attempting to enhance, are likely to be pitted against the status quo order led by the US and its allies. Has traditionally opposed the creation of blocs as they go against the fundamental spirit of equitable global governance and multipolarity. Multipolarity in the Indian historical imagination is about equity, inclusion, and representation, not bloc rivalry, ideological or otherwise. However, even if New Delhi vehemently opposes bloc politics, it will continue to get drawn into it. The China question, the question that New Delhi must ask every step of the way as it pursues a multiple word and alternative mechanisms for global governance is whether or not it helps boost the rise of China globally. No doubt, a multipolar world requires strong alternative global forums and perhaps even attempts at de-dollarization. But those very forums will go on to aid the rise of China and the strengthening of the yuan. To think de-dollarization would lead to strengthening of the rupee is delusional as it is the belief that China and India has share larger geopolitical interests. They may find value in the instrumental utility of non-Western institutions, but their end goals are fundamentally divergent. Given its size, economic influence, and the spread of the Belt and Road Initiative and a diplomatic bandwidth, China will influence an expanded BRICS, and India, with its limited resources, would struggle to match this. Paradoxically and perhaps tragically, the more India helps strengthen non Western institutions and frameworks, thereby weakening the post Second World War order, the more it helps, albeit indirectly, China's revisionist agenda. The challenge before India is to choose between a China centric world order or a West centric world order, or balance the two. If the latter is too preachy for India, the former is too Machiavellian, and balance is going to get tougher. India must therefore keep its eyes firmly fixed on its goal, promote a more representative and equitable global governance on the one hand, and ensure that such an order does not end up undercutting its own national interest, while India must moderate the influence of China on our in non Western firms. In doing so, it must also make sure not to alienate the other countries in the global south who may see mate in China's efforts at expanding the membership of those firms. The geopolitical predicament this poses before New Delhi is hardly an easy one to navigate, asserting itself in non-Western global forums such as BRICS and the SCO, checking the steadily growing like Chinese influence in them, and dealing with Western normative expectations while negotiating a place for itself in Eurocentric forums such as the UNSA and the G7. It must do all this simultaneously. This is about the pot up editorial page. Deep in this survey, failure to hold assembly sessions shows depth of crisis in Manipur. The Saudi Arabia UAE divide becomes public. He is a former ambassador to Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Becomes public. In mid July, the Wall Street Journal reported that earlier in December, the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, as MBS, known as MBS, had told a group of Saudi journalists that the United Arab Emirates has stabbed us in the back and had threatened, "They will see what I can do." He had added that retaliation would be worse than what I did with Qatar, recalling the harsh 4 year political and economic blockade of the kingdom's neighbor from 2017. The crown prince was possibly hiked by the absence of the UAE ruler, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, for the Gulf Cooperation Council summit meeting with the revisiting Chinese President Xi Jinping. Obvious references in regional politics. This surprising outburst signals the end of the camaraderie between the Saudi Crown Prince and the UAE President. When MBS first came into public life with his father's accession to the throne in 2015, it was obvious that he had a special bond with Mohammed bin Zayed. Many observers believe that the Saudi prince, in his last 20s, then saw the more experienced BZ as a mentor. The two royal bonded their countries as strategic partners. They were partners in the war in Yemen, worked out together to strengthen al Sisi's regime in Egypt, viewed Iran as a regional threat, disliked the Muslim Brotherhood, and then collaborated closely to implement the blockade of Qatar. In 2019, they also subverted the nascent democratic process in Sudan by backing the armed process against the civilian prime minister. But over the last few years, their differences have become obvious. In July 2017, the UAE abruptly rejected the proposal to cut oil production put forward by OPEC Plus on the ground that its base production needed to be significantly increased. Abu Dhabi was then investing heavily in augmenting its oil production to monetize its potential to the maximum extent. Differences then became apparent in several areas of regional politics. The UAE abruptly withdrew its troops from Yemen in 2019, but continued to pursue a separate agenda of supporting the secessionist movement in the south and mobilizing local fighters backing the independence of the south. The UAE also expanded its maritime footprint in the region by taking control of Yemeni ports and Socotra Island in the Gulf of Aden and Perim Island at the mouth of the Bab al Mandab. The UAE then established bases in Eritrea and Somaliland, thus putting in place an unassailable strategic network that links the Gulf with the Red Sea and the Horn of Africa. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, was left to do the fighting in Yemen, with little to show for its efforts over 8 years. The kingdom also experienced setbacks in Syria, where Russia's intervention in 2015 ensured that the Assad government would not be toppled, and vice versa Iran, when the United States failed to respond to repeated missile and drone attacks in 2019. This parlous scenario encouraged Saudi Arabia to pursue de escalation and dialogue in the region. This started with the lifting of the Qatar blockade in January 2021 and initiation of the dialogue with Iran in Baghdad in April 2021. The UAE was a reluctant participant in both initiatives. It maintains a studied coolness towards Qatar and is pursuing its own engagement with Iran. The UAE also normalized ties with Israel in August 2020, thus publicly dumping the Saudi sponsored Arab peace initiative that requires Israel to accommodate Palestinian interests before Arab states normalize relations. Later, the kingdom initiated the readmission of Syria into the Arab League in May this year, but Ambijad failed to attend the summit. In Sudan, the two Gulf neighbors are now backing different goal generals. While the kingdom supports Army Chief Al Burhan, the UAE is backing militia leader Dagalo, thus prolonging the destructive civil conflict. The UAE is also said to be uncomfortable with the speed with which Saudi Arabia normalizes ties with Iran in March this year. Competition in the same sectors. Saudi UAE competition has now touched domestic areas as well. The two countries are seeking regional primacy in the same sectors: global business, tourism, finance, and technology. Saudi Arabia is also wanting to become the principal hub for regional trade, thus challenging the UAE, which is presently the dominant player. Both countries are pursuing ambitious plans to develop ports in the Gulf and the Red Sea and emerge as the major presence in the logistical connectivity projects and China's Belt and Road Initiative. Though much smaller in size, the UAE has made it clear it will not be the kingdom's junior partner in the political, economic, and logistical arenas. It compensates for its small size with the vision, dynamism, and ambition of its leaders. It's a head start in global interactions in the areas of trade, connectivity, tourism, finance, and technology, and the attractive image as a business friendly and people friendly locale. It has successfully cultivated over several decades. As competition rather than cooperation is likely to define ties between the two Gulf neighbors, how the kingdom's leadership position in the Arab and the Islamic world and its central place in global energy, business, and finance will ensure that its preeminent place in regional and world politics and economic will remain unchallenged. Let's go to the next page. This is about the UAE and Saudi Arabia relationship. Decoding the president's speech is a retired Indian Foreign Service officer. The opaqueness of Tanschi. The body is charging of developing higher education has come under criticism. The superpower of OTT platforms. Same language have subtitling on all Indian language content is an opportunity to make meaningful contributions to reading, literacy, and language learning. SC panel flags loss of essential documents of people in Manipur. The Justice Gitsa Mittal committee appointed by the top court submits three reports. It says appointment of a nodal officer to take charge of the reconstruction of documents. It seeks a substantial improvement in the compensation scheme. Manipur fails to hold assembly session. CPL delegation to visit relief camps in Manipur. SC criticizes Gujarat SC for its counter blast in abortion petition by rape survivor. Delhi government official wife arrested in POCSO Act case. All eyes on possible Z Modi meet as PM reaches South Africa today. More jobs available. People moving to higher income groups, says Modi. Prime Minister says the economy has reached a number from 5 from their 10% in 9 years, and citizens are coming forward in large number to pay their taxes as they knew that every rupee is being spent on the nation's development. Public should be holding lawmakers accountable for conducting Assembly. Pilots appointment to CWS is a show of unity. Admission to PhD program. Woman and baby crushed to death in Uttarakhand landslide. A search operation is underway for more victims as a taxi stand lies buried under rubble at Chamba. Schools closed after heavy rain alert. 17 Indians held captive by an armed group in Libya rescued. Panel looks at steps to curb stress in reality sector. ICSSR to develop Indianized research methodology looks tools. 500 researchers will get funding for the studies based on field work focused on a geographical region. Activists seek a dialogue on controlled human infection trials policy. ICMR studies post COVID mortality. DIA must maintain close watch on new variant of COVID 19. Dhritarashtra's request. Trump threatens reciprocal tax on India if voted back to power. Zelensky says in Denmark he is confident Russia will lose this war. China largest complaint over Camp David remark by Korea. Japan US. Israeli women shot dead, man wounded in West Bank attack. Nurse who killed seven newborns in her care jailed for in life in Britain. Lucy Lepti, 33, has also been charged with attempting to kill six other babies. She attacked prematurely born victims after often during night shifts by either injecting them with hair, after overfeeding them with milk, or poisoning with them with insulin. Pakistan to compensate over under Christians who lost their homes in riots. Legal hurdles still remain for Guatemala's president-elect Arevalo. Saudi border guards killed hundreds of Ethiopian immigrants. Ecuadorians reject oil drilling in the Amazon in historic decision. Amid air traffic rebound, jet fuel demand yet to catch up. A slower rebound in a long-haul travel and a distressed airline industry have led to lower demand for jet fuel. Low demand is expected to persist through 2023 even as flight traffic has recovered. Geo Financial Services slides 5% in debut. TMB ties up with Jocato to offer digital lending projects. Wipro appoints head for Wipro Enterprise Future. FPI buying in Indian shares fell in first half of August. India is seen agreed to review goods trade pact by 2025 to fix asymmetry. German baby skincare brand Sanosan eyes rapid growth. Global auto majors raise prices firing to meet EV demand. Tamil Nadu government gears up to alert land for queuing status Chea expansion. Kohli crucial to India's World Cup chances, feels Bishop. One batting position does not make much difference, says Ganguly. World Cup hero Carmano learned of father's death after the final. Kurtzberg outshines the stars, clinches hammer gold at Worlds. Pragnanand. Pragnanand makes history, meets Carlson in the final. The 18-year-old Indian draws Carrion out of his comfort zone before producing the knockout punch, becomes the third youngest after Fischer and Carlson to qualify for the candidates tournament. Goriachin wins women's title. Prague goes through a who goes through to the final. He beats Fabiano Caruana in the tie break and will face Magnus Carlsen now. What a performance! Pranay and Lakshya advance. Srikanth exists. It's time to start a dynasty, says Lils. India has got a really solid 1-2-3 combination similar to Australia's Hayden. Arya spins it a dragon's way against Blasters. His spell derails the Bengaluru side's chase after the Mangaluru team posts 171. Mystics bowlers restrict Lions to 121 before the batters take over. The hunger to play cricket never went away. CM Gautam. Djokovic wins match and against Alcaraz. Double podium for Geoffrey Manuel in Malaysia. Taufik spins a web. CAB bowls out Kerala cheaply. Durand cover. Indian Army enters the quarterfinals. Patient Sethuraman takes the lead. Tiger Mountain clinches the Royal Revive plate. A tale of Spanish resurgence and overwhelming emotion. Spanish success dwindled after the men won the 2010 World Cup until now, with signs of glory showing again. And the 2023 edition had incredible highs and heartbreaking lows, with fans showing up in unprecedented numbers to back the women, and institutional sexism rearing its ugly head once again. Once again. The story of how the deadliest virus to humans was revived. Jeffrey Tauben Berger wanted to understand why some flu strains caused pandemics. So he sought the genetic makeup of the virus that caused the 1918 disaster. He received help from the Johann Ultin, a doctor who was offered to retrieve samples from a mass grave at risk to his life. Despite extreme weather, China skips climate talk. Twilight time. The world between words. The last two pages, text and context page. Number of corruption cases probed by CBI pending trials in court 6,841. Wow, great. The members added on a net basis by VPFO in the month of June. The average age in Kyrgyz Congress Working Committee. Fine imposed on an American firm by the Chinese government. The worth of the weapons given by the US to Ukraine till now. And spot phone manufacturing in India. Why have the former Reserve Bank of India, Governor and the Minister of State for Electronic been at loggerheads with each other? What are the key features of the production linked incentive scheme? Why are low level assembly jobs not good in the long run? Heavy of Foxconn Super Sri Perambadur plant in the Kanchipuram district. What are the concerns about drilling in the North Sea? Why is the new move by the UK government worrying environment experts? How does offshore drilling affect marine biosafety? What has the climate change committee said? Let's go to the next page. Recent parliamentary elections in India. A closer look. A recent paper which has gained much traction merits closer scrutiny as it raises worries about the future of democracy in India by claiming to detect irregular patterns in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections. August 2022 22 is observed as Madras Day, a quiz on the bustling South Indian metropolis. Know your English. This is the last page, guys. So continue for 2 hours to make you better in communication. So, and also leave your comment in the comment box. In the comment box so that I can come up with to resolve your doubts. I hope you guys have enjoyed the newspaper reading and see you in the upcoming videos. And also please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can bring very informative videos in the upcoming days. And See you in the upcoming videos, guys. Have a great day. Bye bye. Take care.